Chapter 33. Summer. It felt good to belong somewhere, to be part of something. Summer had been alone too long and had seen too much. She looked down at her protruding stomach, a reminder of Josh and the life they had created together. It seemed so long ago, surreal, almost like it never happened. For a brief moment in time, she loved a boy who loved her back, only for it to end just as suddenly, like it never happened. But it did. Her growing belly proved it. She squeezed back tears as Summer followed behind Lonnie, picking through the last of what remained in the garden. It was massive, capable of supplying food for the ever-growing drifters who found their way to Hayden. Their numbers were growing, much to Lonnie's delight. Lonnie's opinion was the opposite of hers. Summer believed they needed to keep their whereabouts secret and avoid any unwanted riffraff. Kai shared her views, and the way Chris's forehead furrowed in worry every time another able-bodied man entered Hayden. He did too. Every new person was a potential danger to their peaceful community. Was Lonnie blind to the reality of the situation? Was she completely ignorant of what was happening outside, in the wasteland beyond the dense forest? Oblivious to the horrors that lurked just beyond their safe haven? Didn't she understand that this was a matter of survival, and that desperate times could drive people to commit acts they never thought possible? Like killing a man? Summer closed her eyes, trying to erase the image of the soldier, naked with his pants down and his throat cut. It was him or her, and, more importantly, the only thing left of Josh. Their baby. With gentle fingers, she traced the curve of her swollen abdomen, imagining a tiny version of Josh sloshing around in the warm, amniotic fluid. As if on cue, a tiny foot pressed back, creating a hill under her skin. She pushed her hand down flat on her stomach as the baby kicked and rolled, already communicating. "That's right, baby. I did it for us. There was no choice." She stood tall, hands on her hips, trying to stretch her back as she moved her shoulders around to make herself appear bigger. There was a resolved glint in her eye as she tried to relieve the tension that clung to her shoulders like a dead weight. The knowledge of what she had done no longer felt abstract. Instead, it sank deep into every fiber of her being. She could make all the excuses she wanted. She had still taken a life. "Oh, look at that beautiful belly." Lonnie's voice broke through Summer's dark thoughts. She gave a warm smile to the woman, her initial reservations long since melted away. She couldn't help but like Lonnie. A bond had formed between them, one that even disagreements couldn't break. And boy, did they disagree on many things. It was an unexpected, strange feeling to have someone who understood and accepted her. Warts and all. Lonnie, the angel, coming out of the garden patch, saving both her and Maggie Muggs, bringing them to a safe place where they would not be alone. Plus, she was a midwife to boot. Now the baby he wanted to keep would be born into the hands of someone who knew a damn thing about birthing babies. It was fate. Josh's spirit led Summer to Lonnie and Hayden. He defied death to protect them. She knew it. And now they were here. Them. It surprised Summer how quickly the little life inside her was now a part of her. She was no longer one, but two. When she thought of the future, it was her, the baby, and, of course, Maggie Muggs. She couldn't forget the Murray's little furball that had become her shaggy shadow, her tail swooshing back and forth as she trotted beside Summer. Lately, the little trader spent more time with Lonnie, dividing her time between the two of them. In the short months Summer and Maggie Muggs were at Hayden, the dog had become just as much Lonnie's as she was Summer's. She didn't mind. She was always busy with training and learning survival skills. It was good Maggie Muggs had someone else to follow around. Smirking at Lonnie, Summer smoothed her sweater, one of Josh's, over her growing stomach. "It ain't too shabby of a boot ability if I say so myself." "Not too shabby at all, little warrior," Lonnie chuckled, turning back to her chores. "Have you thought of names for the bean?" Summer blushed. She loved how Lonnie referred to her as little warrior. It made her feel strong and worthy of her place in Hayden. She may be pregnant, but she was no slouch, and proved it time and time again when she was training and out scouting with Kai and Chris. Something they did all the time now, since the blowout at the infamous spaghetti dinner. Chris and Kai were teaching Summer everything they knew about surviving in the wilderness. They showed her how to start a fire with a flint and tinder, how to hunt and butcher meat, prepping it for future use. Summer begrudgingly watched, her arms crossed over her chest. She couldn't believe she was stuck in the wilderness with these two boneheads teaching her survival skills. But memories of the terrifying moments when she and Meggie Muggs were lost and alone haunted her thoughts. The soldier. Always the soldier. The scent of his blood gushing from his throat festered like an abscess in Summer's nose. Slowly, she began to appreciate their knowledge and experience. The garden where she stood was a sanctuary compared to the danger she faced before meeting Lonnie. So Summer sucked it up and tagged along with them, soaking in every bit of knowledge they taught her. To her surprise, she loved it. To Chris and Kai's surprise, she excelled at it. She gave a little smirk, thinking of how those outings had changed everything. She could almost tolerate being around Kai, and even Chris. Almost. Yep, gonna name him Joshua. Summer puffed up proudly. Lonnie bent to inspect a group of cabbages. Oh, nice, powerful name. Her voice rose above the vegetables. Summer glanced around the trees, tilting her head back, letting the sunlight filter through the leaves and onto her face. She breathed in the crisp, earthly scent of the forest and felt a gentle breeze play with her hair. The coolness brushed against her skin, bringing a refreshing relief. Still haven't decided on a middle name yet. Maybe Robert, like his dad? She stopped. It was the first time she had spoken about Josh out loud. Lonnie didn't move. The air became heavy with silence, making Summer feel uncomfortable and weighed down. What happened to him? Summer paused, not wanting to respond. The words nothing, ready to split the pocket of air that hung between them, breaking the silence. But she stopped. Lonnie's acts of kindness were a shield, given freely and without expectation. Summer was a stranger Lonnie knew nothing about. She didn't know what Summer was capable of. Yet Lonnie and Kai had given her a trailer of her own, a home that was hers. Rather than just tossing her into a temporary place, they embraced her as one of their own, trusting without questions or expectations. That first day when Summer revealed she was pregnant, Lonnie immediately began prenatal care, estimating how far along she was and how well the baby was doing, caring for her in the pregnancy with compassion, something Summer wasn't used to or completely comfortable with. But she was melting, warming to the comforting embrace. She loved it at Hayden. She loved being surrounded by nature's beauty, her summer rain reader, the street kid. Loved opening her eyes to the soft chirping of chickadees outside as she stretched out, feeling the warm rays of the morning sun seeping through her bedroom curtains. Her bedroom, of her little home. She'd take a deep breath and inhale the crisp scent of pine from the nearby forest. Her little home nestled in the woods was the first place that she ever felt right in. It fit her. Made her think maybe she wasn't a street rat after all. Maybe she was something different. Something more. Summer loved fishing with Kai and Chris as they sat across from one and the other in the small aluminum boat, their fishing rods dangling over the edge. The trees drooping lazily in the stillness. Above them, a bright blue canvas of sky stretched endlessly. They took turns casting their lines into the vast expanse of the lake, surrounded by peaceful sounds of the water lapping against the boat and the call of the loons. This was where God was. This is where he hung out. Not some stuffy church, and Lonnie and Kai had given it to her, expecting nothing in return. She sighed, her shoulders slumping. Meggie Muggs, always underfoot, whined, lifting her front paws on Summer's leg as a reminder that she was not alone anymore. He's dead. Summer spoke the words out loud for the first time. They felt like a sharp slap in the face. The sting went deeper than just skin. It penetrated the core of her being. He died, she said, feeling the weight of the truth settle over her. Lonnie turned, surprised. The weight pressing against Summer's chest shifted, lifting slightly. Unaware the pressure was there, always. It startled her. This was the weight of it all. The deep grief that consumed her and laid its heavy-fisted hand upon her heart, promising to never, ever let go of its grip. She was so used to it she didn't realize it was even there, but just uttering the truth, he's dead, forced the grip on her heart to loosen, making her remember that once upon a time, that tight hold on her heart did not exist. In fact, it grew and swelled with her love of her skater boy, Josh.
They killed him. The decree.
Her lips quivered as Lonnie approached her, embracing her in her plump arms. Summer breathed deep through her nose, willing the flood of emotions back at bay. She had not expected the older woman to hug her. No one hugged her. Well, that wasn't true. Josh did. Josh loved wrapping his arms around her petite frame, pulling her close to his chest, his head bending down, pressing his lips against the top of her head. His breath would tickle her ear as he whispered, "Dragon girl." She'd blush and bury her face in his hoodie, feeling the beating of his heart against her. "How?" Lonnie gently ran her fingers through Summer's shaggy hair, the roots slightly lighter than the dyed black ends. Against her will, a choking snorkel-like sound came out of Summer's nose.
"Would you believe I was going for an abortion? Josh, the dad, didn't want me to have one, but came with me for support and hoped he could talk me out of it. We were in the waiting room when the decree soldiers arrived and started shooting everyone up. Josh and I ran out of the building, but they shot him in the back. He died in my arms."
Tears fell from Summer's eyes as grief and guilt overwhelmed her. Josh would still be alive if she hadn't pushed for the abortion. Lonnie gently pulled Summer from the warmth of her embrace. Her face was a mixture of surprise and disbelief.
"Were you at the Rayside Health Clinic?" "Yes. Why?"
Lonnie looked up at the brilliant blue sky and closed her eyes, whispering,
"Thank you."
With a soft touch, she rubbed Summer's arms, a knowing expression on her face.
"Looks like the universe hasn't abandoned us after all,"
she said, her eyes shining with emotion.
"It's let our little warrior and her precious being right where they belong."
Summer's eyebrows furrowed in confusion, her lips parting as she tried to process Lonnie's words. Her hippie ways never failed to surprise her. Curiosity getting the best of her, she'd asked Kai once if it was some kind of cultural thing. But he simply chuckled and replied, "It's a Lonnie thing."
"I saw you and your Josh at the clinic that day,"
Lonnie said, her eyes glowing with recognition.
"No wonder you felt familiar to me. I was there when it happened, when the clinic was overtaken. I saw you and your Josh there. The decree arrived while I was at the clinic. I barely escaped. I was one of the lucky ones."
She reached down and squeezed Summer's limp hand.
"We were meant to survive."
She placed her other hand on Summer's protruding little ball of a belly.
"All of us."
Summer's lips quivered, a slight tremor that betrayed the depths of her pain. Memories of that fateful day as the clinic engulfed her mind, forever changing everything she knew. Lonnie was there, the witness to Summer and Josh's last moments together before the agony of losing him. Ripped away from the world in an instant. She felt an added crushing sorrow, knowing Lonnie was there. It was real. It happened, and each vivid memory cut like a knife through her heart, leaving behind scars that would never fully heal.
"And Josh? Ain't he supposed to survive too?" "I have asked that question so many times. So many times. But it is not for us to know. We're all in the dark about the universe's decision on which of us walks on this side or the other."
Summer's head shook, unable to hold back the tears cascading down her cheeks. The dam inside her chest had burst, releasing all the grief inside her, rushing out, unable to be brought back in.
"I can't reason with a universe that took the only person who ever loved me."
Lonnie closed her eyes, her eyelids fluttering as she struggled to keep her composure. She took a deep breath, fighting to suck in and conquer the rising emotion, trying to escape from within. Summer's words echoing in her heart.
"Me either,"
Lonnie screamed in her head, wanting to yell it out to the sky above.
"Me either."
But she didn't. No. The brightness of the sun's rays forced her to shut her eyes, causing dark spots to pulse behind her lids. Images of a boy with long brown hair kept appearing and disappearing, his smile growing bigger until he was right in front of her. She gasped and opened her eyes, the boy's name a whisper escaping her lips and carried away by the wind.
"We each have a journey to travel. Some people Their journey is short. It's long. Lonnie pressed her hands to Summer's belly, her fingers sending invisible currents of electricity to the baby growing beneath the fleshy tips. She smiled into the young girl's face. We must believe, my little warrior, that the universe knows what it's doing, even if we don't understand it. She paused. Especially when we don't understand. Summer pressed her lips tight together, demanding them to stop trembling. She placed her hands on top of Lonnie's, feeling the current the older woman seemed to emanate, tingling beneath her palms. She saw sorrow in the brown orbs of Lonnie's eyes. It was alive, but not frantic. Carved inside of Lonnie's soul, forever present but silent and still. Lonnie's voice was heavy with the weight of experience and loss. Summer glanced around, feeling an intense presence in the air. She felt a comforting warmth wash over her, as if someone had placed a protective shield around them. Standing in the garden where their fateful meeting had taken place, she could sense a presence surrounding them. It was as if Lonnie's spooky spirits were gathering in a swirling halo of brilliant light, a force that Summer recognized as God. And she felt him, Joshua, standing in the circle with someone else, someone there for Lonnie. He was smiling as their child grew bigger and bigger inside her. She could hear him, his lips moving with the crooked smile he had just for her, telling her it was okay. She turned, glancing at Lonnie. Maggie Muggs looked around, the fur on her back swaying in the wind. A small little whine escaped from the back of her throat. Lonnie? Summer could barely speak, her eyes welling with tears, as Lonnie nodded, her own tears rimming her eyes. Do you feel them? She wrapped her arms around Summer, embracing her in a way that Summer knew Lonnie needed as much as she did. They held each other as the wind whirled around them, the sun breaking through the trees, spiraling down upon the woman, the girl, and the dog. Summer looked up to the sky, swearing she heard Josh, his voice dancing across the wind and into her ears. You're home, Dragon Girl. You're finally home.